Rolling.
We want to focus on something.
Your YouTube.
Oh, nice. All right, William, whenever you're ready. Lens, whenever you're ready.
Lens, you want to present?
Quick question. Is Jennifer presenting with you and Kevin?
Kevin wasn't there yesterday when we started doing everything, but I think Jennifer is here. I think she'll present.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, Jen.
Yeah.
Okay, just please make sure that you're keeping Kevin up to date as well.
Okay.
Right.
Lens, do you want to share? I don't know what he's doing right now, so.
Can you see the screen now?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. Sorry, it was taking a bit long. My device has been running a bit slow as of late. All right, so good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us in for our talk on the Lake Como project. In this project, it has been me, Lens Barth.
Me, William Cordova.
Me, Jennifer Segundo.
And since Kevin is not here at the moment, and if he is here, he has not responded, it is Kevin Garcia. So now on with the show. All right, so we're just going to show you our table of contents, which is basically so far what we're going to be talking about for this project. We're going to be discussing the overall objective of the project, the existing conditions of the site that we're going to be working at, the problem with the site, and the stages to solving a solution for it.
Lens, I'm sorry to interrupt. Lens, can you click on present on the slide? Perfect, thank you.
Once again, I do like to apologize for the slowness of my device.
I'll read the next slide whenever it loads.
All right. I hope it doesn't take too long. Technical difficulties, folks.
Understood.
So how's everyone's day been?
You want me to present, Lens?
It's chugging along. All right, now that it's finished load, now that the load has been loaded in, let's continue on with the show.
Next slide.
Yeah, I clicked the next slide. It's chugging along. All right. Oh dear, I think I skipped a few slides.
Yeah.
Lindsay, if it's okay, let's see if William can present.
You want me to?
No. All right. Nope.
All right. So, William, I think this is your turn now.
Yes, ma'am. So our agenda is that we want to improve the lifestyle throughout most of the borough, because right now the lifestyle is very, I wouldn't say run down. It's fine. Like everybody still like is very lively, and a lot of people are very nice there actually. I would just say that the buildings work as of now seem to be in a bit of like a working area. It's not like they're not like flourishing, but they're also not like dump. It's like in the middle right now. We want to push it towards flourishing and possibly bring it past that. We want to combine a creation that will focus based on the central Main Street business district come arboretum with the lakefront Fun and Wild Park. That's basically our park that was along the lakefront that we want to expand more on. We are trying to come up with development of the Lake Como environmental vision and transforming the town to a distinctive destination. We want to make it very known, other than it being just a town that's right next to the Jersey Shore, because right now that's what it's known as. It needs to develop the balance between tourism and entertainment, with a village atmosphere with an environment themed vision. So you want it to still be known as a town that has people in it, but also known as a tourist and entertainment attraction that people can go to if they please. And finally, we also want to improve the social and natural environment and then spread it to the roots of the borough. So we want to basically just improve the entire place, make it better, and we want to expand it to make it more of like a known thing, make it more connected to the world that's around it. Next slide. Jennifer, you want to read?
Sure. So we're focusing on stage 1, that is remediation, and that's where we're focusing on the traffic management. So we want to like reduce the speeding between the two streets and avoid the enforcements of or I'm sorry. Yeah, of the enforcements of more and add stop signs in the Pine Terrace Parkway, Newman Street. Also a limit. We're trying to have a limit less than a 25 along the 18th Avenue. And for the traffic flow, having simple rules and allowing bike lanes and having less traffic around. And also for noises, the noises that they want us to have is having less noise and talk about the rules of the traffic around the community to like know how to not make a lot of noise, because the community wants like really it being calm and
All right. So for stage 2 process, next thing we're gonna want to work on is vehicular parking. We want to have a policy throughout the parkway to the lake, because this is a residential town. Most of the people here drive cars, so they're gonna want more spaces for their cars. Now, the next thing we're gonna want to figure out is bicycle traffic. Since this is also a residential town, some people are gonna want to ride their bikes too, because there's they're right here to the waterfront. They have a lakefront. They have a bunch of things in the neighborhood that they want to experience, maybe in a slow and calm paced manner. So we also want to add more stuff to make that scene a lot better. Next thing we want to do, pedestrian behavior. Even if it is residential town, there's still going to be people who like to take walks. I know for a fact that I would. I speed walk to school every single day, at least before the pandemic was. So what we're going to want to do, we're going to want to make sure that that pedestrian behavior is enforced, so that way there aren't people who are jaywalking, running through traffic, not in a rush like it's Manhattan, because I don't know why people always feel the need to run the minute they see no cars moving. And now, mercantile license. I'm going to be completely honest. I am going to have a problem with this one, because this is new to me. But then again, isn't everything when you don't know about it? So there should be more cleanup rounds that are going to be around this neighborhood, because it's a residential neighborhood. It's not like the city where you have garbage trucks mowing around, picking up every garbage the minute they see it. So there's gonna have to be more around, so that way less garbage can be on the side of the sidewalks, and that we can go get picked up, and the image of this neighborhood can still look pretty clear. Now, weather conditions. In this town, as of 2020, it has had a max of 7.6 inches of rain, and the highest temperature was 79 degrees. And the minimum for this neighborhood had been 2.6 inches and 9 ounces of sunlight, with a 46 being the lowest temperature. These, of course, are all going to have an effect on the way the town moves about. For example, some people may like to jog in the cooler weather because they're not going to feel like they're on the surface of the sun after they've been out for a jog in almost 80-degree weather. But then there are going to be some people who they feel a lot more comfortable when they're working up more sweat because they feel, hey, I'm actually doing a lot more workout than I should be. So that's one thing, and it's also going to have an effect on the way how the sidewalk and the roadways need to be maintained. So that's another thing we'll have to look into. William, would you like to take over for now?
Okay. For the vehicular traffic speed, for the speeding problems, there's a principle to try to reduce the speed by using the physical measures, such as speed bumps and speed humps, to avoid people speeding through a street and not getting any sort of penalty. Adding to the load on enforcement throughout the borough. So adding to the policing that goes around, setting speed limits and making sure that people stay under those speed limits. You need to be able to have more police officers around to enforce that speed limit there. You will also need to research possible measures besides speed humps and speed bumps and speed limits. What else could we do to prevent people from speeding? Maybe stop signs, yield signs, stuff like that. Just to lens. Just to make sure that people don't disobey the speed laws and feel that there's no actual consequences that come along with disobeying the speed laws. Yeah. A simple rule for the traffic flow along the 18th Avenue or Main Street. To allow a bike lane and allow viewers of oncoming traffic from side streets. So maybe adding a bike lane would slow down traffic because people speeding right next to a bike is not gonna be the most convenient thing. You'll be worried about hitting a biker. Like I said, construct some more speed bumps or speed humps in the places, just to make sure everything stays at a certain limit. Because if you go over a speed hump, it's not as bad. If you go over a speed bumps are more abrupt. If you go over a speed bump over a certain speed, your car will get majorly damaged. So I would hope that would make people open their eyes and believe that if they continue the behavior that they've been doing on these streets, there will be severe consequences, as such destroying your car. Driver education. Setting a driver education program as well could be letting people know hey, we're implementing these things, just watch out for these in the future, because if you don't tell anybody about the speed bumps and the speed humps, that could majorly damage people's cars, because their mentality is, this wasn't here before, nobody let me know about it, so it's going to majorly damage people's mindsets if they do decide to continue how they've been doing, with just speeding along a certain street, not knowing that there's new precautions that went into the street to make sure that people weren't speeding along it. And cut cautionary ribbing into paving. So making sure I don't even know what that is. Making sure that people don't like people have like certain like lanes that they can stay into. But when it comes to vehicular traffic noise, on the other hand, reviewing the borough's updated noise ordinance, recently adopted by the borough council, includes vehicular noise. Specifically, it prohibits any post-sale adjustments to mufflers, which basically increases the amount of noise by like 1,000. Mufflers are known to be very loud on cars, and they want to take away from the noise that such a speedway street can cause, which I don't disagree with them with. Like, those kind of cars are very, very loud, and you have them going on speedways, which make them even louder. They also want to try and fix that issue. We need to review the speeding and noise surveys weekends in June and the 4th of July, because those are usually like the most busiest times, because the 4th of July everybody's going down to a place where they're going to party, which would be the Jersey Shore in this sense. And people speeding past would usually, some people have loud cars, they'll speed right past, and not much will be taken into account. They want to also look for ways that residents can help police to enforce the ordinance. Maybe like a community, what is it called? A community, it's like a community
watch.
Yeah, a community watch. That's what I think. It basically allows the community itself to police as well as the police do. Now, there are some cases where this can go wrong, but in most cases, this actually does help the community in a great way. They also want to research how and where to announce the rules, for instance, in entering the pathway. They want to be able to let the whole town know that these rules are being put into place, and that these rules are going to need to start being followed. They want people to know of these rules before they enter the town and come unexpected, because a lot of these rules can come with very bad consequences, such as getting a speeding ticket or running like lights if we do decide to put traffic lights in the town, or, like I said, damaging your car greatly because you didn't know a speed bump was there. So yeah.
Jennifer, would you like to take over this one?
Sure. So for vehicle traffic parking, we're going to research on how the parking between the people who live in that community and the visitors that come during the summer. Because in the summer, there's a lot of people who come to see and around the community. So, and there's way too much parking. So we have to find ways how can have that parking separated, and for all those people who are gonna come during the summer to be able to park around there with also the community. Also, we should find ways of how combining the park policy with the vehicle traffic and parking needs. So we would have to find ways how to make that work around the community, because there's a lot of parking we need to do, because the streets that we're working on are really small, so we're gonna have to find ways how to make the parking work during those streets that are needed to work on. On the pedestrian behavior, we should read existing like Como's existing. So we should try to see how we could do it without destroying or overpassing people's what do you call it? Like property. So we should just keep it based on the streets that we have and not just passing or destroying the property that we already have. So what we're only doing is like adding more to it, not destroying or anything, just adding to it and making it better for the environment. Also, we also should have police around that line in the parking, because there's a lot of problems that could cause if there isn't like crime data. We should focus on mostly also.
And that's pretty much the end of our slideshow. We just listed the resources that we used to get the information for the different slides. And thank you. Thank you for listening. And now, does anyone happen to have any questions?
Thank you, Lance. So I saw the presentation in terms of, and William and Jennifer, great terms of good start with data. I realized you guys took a lot of consideration when it comes to data collecting. One of the key aspects that I liked about this, you showed a lot of concerns for especially people driving to the Jersey Shore, the speed issues, and as well as the community as a whole. So let's get into the nook and cranny of this space. Same as I spoke to the other group, so I'm gonna just present my screen. So when you start talking about the start talking about the area. So I'm gonna present right now your entire screen. So first and foremost, the next stage for this presentation. There's a lot of text involved, which a lot of text could be taken away when you heard the saying, image is worth 1,000 words. So you could actually take us on a journey talking about 18th Avenue, where people drive along this path going towards the Jersey Shore, as well as they make that right towards Broadway to go to the park, to go to the lake. Sorry about that. You could talk about where the traffic flow, where would you like to have the speed bumps, where would you like to have the pavers, where would you like to have the cameras. One of the things about bringing money to a community, there's certain things you don't need to do. You could just start enforcing, especially when it comes to speed bumps, the signage. You put the signage out there. Is the drivers to actually take, to recognize the signage and to recognize the speed camera. Right now on Google Maps, when you're driving, it tells you there's a speed bump coming. There's a traffic light, or else there's a camera ahead. So it will warn you. And one of the good things about having these traffic lights and these cameras is to bring money to the community. So we don't want to say that we don't want to educate the people that visit us coming, but we won't bring money to the community. So having some of these cameras there, the signage there, but having the ability to actually give tickets out is a good thing. It's a great way to warn them ahead of time, so they don't do it next time, because sometimes they forget. So, but going back at it, talk about it, but show the imagery. Feel free, like we stated before, you have a lot of text speaking about the traffic, speaking about the housing, how parking is not really accessible. You have to prove your case once again, and one of the great ways by doing so, you could just have the images. So you can see what I'm doing. You can take quick snapshots of you going along this area while talking about it. So you can have just brief notes, and then you can just have image as you go along to Lake Como, the area, and these are the issues about parking. Sometimes the community don't want parking in front of their homes, and then you could address about where is the best place for commuters, visitors to park, as opposed to parking in the residential area, which brings more noises. So you could probably have a signage to guide them in terms of area. But to make a long story short, with your presentation, there's a lot of research I know that was done. Now the next stage is to add like the journey from beginning to end about what you're presenting. So whenever each bullet points, I want you to try to have an image for that bullet point. Even I know it's gonna get saturated, but then you're gonna start taking things that are not needed because you spoke about traffic many times. You spoke about pedestrian ways for pedestrians to travel. You spoke about laws to implement. Certain things are not needed. Certain things are needed. So you're gonna start taking things out after it becomes saturated. Okay, but I definitely would like to see some type of way that you could showcase to us like the path going to and from the site. Okay, William, Lance, Jennifer?
Yeah.
Okay, good job.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much agreeing with Mr. Codio. You know, that's exactly the comment in regards to the presentation. You know, it's just very text heavy, but you guys have definitely grasped the project objectives. You know what I mean? So I know that it was very detailed. There's a lot of information, and it's a pretty complex project because it doesn't really involve like, you know, very quick sort of design work. It does require a little bit of understanding of how actually a street works. What are some of the considerations regarding, you know, policies and the way that the community actually engages with the streets, and what are some of the real issues? And these are things that, you know, as young urban planners, you know, these are skills that are needed. So you guys are going to have a nice, good learning curve for this project, and I look forward to seeing how it develops. You know, we definitely have to, you know, bring in more information regarding the site, right? Whether it's a site overview and an aerial shot, right, accompanied with some of the street shots that Mr. Codio had referenced earlier, you know, and start populating it. And maybe you can start bringing them into Miro, and then we can start identifying things on those images. All right? But good job, really good job so far.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo what everybody has said, and I think this project has an advantage over a lot of the other projects. Maybe the smallpox project has it too, but the advantage you guys have is you have a history with this town. You have a history with the people. You have a history with John Gibbons. They're known entities to you. I would definitely use that to my advantage, and I think if you have on your team like a particular person that it's sort of like the opposite issue of the first vacant lot presentation we saw, where the first fake with that presentation, like tons of awesome ideas, and it's kind of like, will they work? Won't they work? Can it happen? Can it not? You guys actually have the opposite problem, where it's like the town people, you've got relationships. This is a long-term project. It will continue to be a long-term project. So I think you actually have some latitude here in terms of being able to be very thinking outside the box in certain ways, and because you have a relationship with the town and with John Gibbons and so forth, you can utilize that relationship to add, if we suggest this, what do you think the town will think? And we already kind of have an idea because we've worked on this project for something. So I'd say that that's a tactical advantage that you can utilize and be sort of even more kind of sort of urban planning creative with your ideas. And you have a ready audience in an entire town and a person that already thinks you're fabulous. So that's great. But I really enjoyed it. And I think, it's just a progression for this town in terms of where they're headed. And, this team will be there with them. So, yeah, good job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So yeah, it's obvious that you guys have a lot of information already in your hands and at your fingertips. As Ms. Butts mentioned, the advantage is that this project has been going on, so the ground has been laid already, and you are, as William, you said at the beginning, you're not in the initial stage, but you're not at the completed stage. You're in the middle. when you have so much information, oftentimes you lose sight of the goals, the objectives, and so the text heaviness. It's a lot of information. You have to find a way to distill it down. Okay, some of those slides were like, oh wow, a lot of words, right? And you guys were getting a little lost in the words. One thing I would suggest is you coordinate who's responsible for the slides and the information. If I felt a little bit like you didn't know who was going based on the slide. I mean, Lenz, you mentioned something like you didn't know about it, and so make sure the next step you coordinate who is responsible for this information, who is not saying that you all don't know about that information, but each of you drills down on a specific subject and you practice. You guys, there was some struggle with some of the language, all right? You practice that stuff going forward, all right? But yeah, it's a lot of information, and the challenge is distilling it down, getting that focus, all right? Good work.
Thank you.